All right, so to make your composition finder, you're going to need a corkboard. You're going to need an A3 piece of paper. You're also going to need tracing paper. Any size will do with the tracing paper. You're also going to need A4 sheets of paper, a plastic slip. You're also going to need black string or wool, as well as scissors, a spool, masking tape. Now, with the pins, I recommend that if you have light colored carpet, that you use darker pins, and if you have darker carpet, use lighter colored pins, so that if they fall on the ground, you don't step on them by accident. You can see them easy. But pins, definitely lots of pins, as well as a graphic fine liner brush pen and a graphic fine liner 0.7 millimeter pen. And last but not least, you're going to need a folder. I picked yellow because it's my favorite color. But you're going to need a folder so that you can catalog all your tracing. So with that being said, let's make a composition finder. Okay, so now we're at stage 3 with our composition finder. And with this, you need the plastic slip and the scissors again. With the plastic slip, this opens up at one end, as you can see, so you can put paper in it, but we don't want to use this for putting paper in it. We want to draw on this, and we need an A4 to fit an A3 size. And we can do that by cutting along here and cutting across here. And funnily enough, 2 A4s make A3, so let's get into it. So we'll cut along here. Now, plastic is very hard to cut, a little bit tricky. There we go. Okay, so that's one side. Make sure it opens up. Perfect. Okay, and now we cut along here. A little bit tricky. Oh, there we go. Okay, and there is your A3 plastic slip of paper. Sweet. Okay, now we're on to the fun stage, making a composition. Okay, well, before we get started to make our composition finder, the first thing we need to realize is that we will be using a grid. So if you can remember this basic pattern, you'll be able to make a perfect grid each time. So here we go. The first thing you'll be learning, the first mark, you'll be learning your times table sign, your addition sign, then you'll be making a diamond sign, and then you'll be making a noughts and crosses sign, like so. And they will all overlap in this square. So let's get started. So we'll get a ruler, and we'll start with the timetable sign. So making sure that it lines up on those points, like so. And then we go this way, like so. And then we go this way to the addition sign, making sure that we cross that center. Also making sure that the line is straight, because if this is wonky, then you'll create a wonky picture. So we don't want a wonky grid, we want everything to be nice and straight. So from in this point and this point, we're creating our diamond shape. And we go here to make another diamond shape, sort of like a triangle. There we go. New diamond shape right there. Now, a little tip when you're using this grid is that if you can stop there, so if you go times table, addition and diamond, and stop and leave this one out, okay? Most artists who do their drawings from a live model usually use that grid, but when you're doing a photograph, we add the noughts and crosses sign. So here we go. Depending on what country are you in, you might say tic-tac-toe. So there we go. Right across that middle point. And right across this point. And right across here. All right, so you can do this with a photograph, but we're going to be using this with our composition finder, except we're going to be using string. So just remember, it's the addition sign, the times table sign, the addition sign, the diamond sign, and the noughts and crosses sign. Or if you do what I like to do, work, value, pleasure. That's how I like to remember it. So if you needed to stop that video at any time and practice making this grid before you make your composition finder, please do. Whatever it is that's going to help is worth the help. All right, so now that we've got that, onto the grid. Okay, so now that you have all your ingredients for your composition finder, let's get started making it. So we had our corkboard, our A3 piece of paper, our pins, our spool, and our string. Now I've already cut the string to the length that I want, and I just put masking tape on the ends to stop them from fraying. So here we go. We take the pins and we put them in the far corner, because the first thing that we're going to be making is our times table sign. Excuse me. Just got over a cold. I'm having a bit of trouble breathing. Okay. So we wrap the wool and string around the first pin, like so, and then we make our way across and down like that, and then we make our way to the other corner, like so. All right, and we take our next pin and we start to make our addition sign. So we start from here. Yep, I think that's pretty good right there to that side. Then we go up and over, making sure that they're in line, and the one at the top working its way down. All right, now we make our diamond sign, just like I showed you earlier with the pencil and the ruler. This time we're doing it with string. So here we go. The next sign we're doing is the tic-tac-toe sign, or noughts and crosses as we like to say in Australia. Used to play that game when I was a kid. Never thought it would help me with art. Here we go. It's funny how things happen like that. Okay. We go down here, and wrap around again if we want, which I will do, and across. One here, making sure that that line comes across the middle. When I say the middle point, I mean these points here, okay, and this one here. So there's the other middle point. Have a piece of string and put the pin there. And one across there. All right, so making sure that everything is all nice and lined up. That looks pretty. Oh no, this one here looks a bit. There we go. It's a little bit too high now. That's the beauty of using pins, that if it gets too high or too low, you can just stick them out and put them back. All right, so now that you've done that, you have completed your first project to make your composition finder. Now on to the next stage. Okay, so now you're ready to progress to stage 2 with your composition finder. For this, we're going to need tracing paper. And what do we do with tracing paper? Well, we trace. So with the tracings, I decided to do some dinosaurs, and I just put a little bit of shade on these dinosaurs just to show a little bit of form. Now, once you've traced these dinosaurs onto tracing paper, the next thing you need to do is trace them onto photo paper, like so, and cut them out. So for that, you need your A4 piece of paper with your tracing on it. You need your scissors, and we're going to cut them. Now, I also want to say that when you trace your dinosaurs or people or cars or furniture or whatever you're going to use for your composition finder, it always helps to trace not on one side, but on two sides. The reason why I do this is so that I can flip the photo. Now, you might be saying to me, yeah, but I could do that on my phone or on my computer. I could flip the image. That's true. But when you get all these things together, the computer or the camera is going to flip everything. And you might only want to flip one thing. So it's very handy to have two sides traced so that you can flip it one image yourself and leave everything else alone. Now I'm going to cut these in front of you because I want to show you a very handy trick. You are using paper, and paper is very flimsy. So what you want to do is you don't want to cut the complete outline of the animal or a person with their arms extended or a piece of furniture. You want to try and leave some paper, like I'm going to leave some paper across here and across here, just to give that bit more strength. And it doesn't really matter because when you use your composition finder, it's not going to matter that much. And people might want to try to cut out everything, but I'm not going to do that. I'll show you. So instead of cutting around here in the back and tail, I'm going to go from the head right to the tail and cut that bit there. Whoop, cut a bit of his tail off, but that's all right. And down here, it just gives that paper a bit more strength so that it doesn't tear in the future, because it will tear. It is paper. So there you go. Get rid of it. You need a garbage bag close by because there's going to be a lot of this stuff around. So just get rid of that. And now we go to this one. I'm going to start with the tail this time, so don't cut it out. And here we go. Around the neck. And across that head. And down we go. Excellent. And get rid of that. Okay, so now that you've done that, you can start putting these in your folder. So here we got the folder. As you can see, I have got some cars and men in a boat, some furniture. You can use this composition finder for anything. Here we go. Dinosaurs. This is why I recommend that you use a folder, because when you get a folder, you can put everything away nice and neat. So that is stage 2 of your composition finder. Now I'm going to show you what to do with your composition finder. Okay, so we're going to be looking at points of view, and the first one that we're going to be looking at for perspective today is standing up to paint, or as it's more commonly known, eye level. So what exactly does that mean? Well, before we continue to do this, we're going to have to understand that you're going to need what we call the clothesline effect, which is this. The clothesline effect is purely and simply a line that has been drawn. Now, artists use this as what we call clothesline effect, as I said earlier, and the point being is that we can actually show that we are standing up to draw. What's the significance of this, you may ask? Well, the significance is that when you are standing up, perspective-wise, all the heads are aligned. Some are smaller, some are middle-sized, some are larger. Excuse me. And the reason why some are smaller is like what I showed you with the snail and the T-Rex, is that to show distance, things get smaller. But to show your point of view, all the heads are aligned, but the feet actually shrink. Okay, so if you'll notice, okay, this person's feet is a slightly higher than mine, and slightly higher than his, slightly lower because he's further in front, slightly higher because he's the furthest away, and somewhere in between these two. That is eye level perspective. So the next one we'll be looking at is sitting down to paint, or as it's more commonly called, worm's eye view. Now, there is such a thing as called extreme eye view, extreme worm's eye view, which is something that we're not going to be doing, but I'll give you a quick little demonstration of what that is. Extreme worm's eye view is when you are laying down to paint, and we're not going to be doing that. What we're talking about, excuse me, is when you are sitting down to paint. Give him a little piece of paper. Alright, so when you are sitting down to paint, your point of view or your perspective starts to change yet again. So this is your eye level. Here, there's your clothesline effect again. But instead of things shrinking from the feet up, things are now going to shrink from the head to feet. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. We have this person here, and this person here. Things still get smaller. That's what shows distance. Okay? Well, what's happening here, made him a bit too big. Okay. What's happening here, if you'll notice, people start to shrink from head to feet, and the heads are no longer aligned. We'll add one more. Okay? So we've got this person here, 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 here. They're all creating a shadow. And what's happened is that the heads are no longer aligned. So we go like this. Like in the last demonstration I showed you that all the heads were aligned, they're no longer aligned. And the same thing goes with the feet. This happens when you are in a seated position or in a worm's eye view. Usually when I am painting or I'm drawing, excuse me, and I'm in that position that we've seen our little person there a moment ago, what I usually do is, after I've drawn my background, I draw a triangle like so. Now this represents, this part here, represents where my eye level is at. And I start putting in figures. Now it doesn't have to reach the top here, but just a triangle, because it's getting from a larger point to a smaller point, it allows me to remind myself to keep that in practice. So people who are closer, their heads are not going to be at the same level, and that helps me keep it in practice. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so you may be asking yourself, why is this so important to know about perspective and about all these different things about foreshortening? Is because the composition finder is not going to teach you those things. It's only going to teach you good composition. So learning perspective is an art rule that you are going to have to learn. Nothing comes easy in this world, so you're going to have to knuckle down, buckle down, and learn art. And but one of the best things about the composition finder is it's going to make composition so much more easy. But before you get started, these things about perspective and learning of things about distance and eye level and points of view, these are things that are going to help make your compositions look that much more convincing and that much more better. So now that we've done that, you can go ahead and get started. Let's make a good composition. Okay. Okay, so you have your ingredients for your composition finder. You know how to make it. You have your tracings. You're all ready and primed and ready to go. So you may ask yourself, what would be the purpose of using a composition finder? What could I possibly need it for? Well, me personally, I use it for painting and drawing because I'm an artist. That's what I do. But, you know, you might be an interior designer and this would be very helpful. You could be a toy photographer and this will be helpful. You could be a YouTube video maker or you know, anyone else in the movie industry, and you could use this for storyboarding. I mean, the whole purpose of this is infinite. So let's just say we have our T-Rex. We'll go this way. And we decide to have him pursuing a car. I mean, that looks cool. So if you get your piece of paper and that brush pen, you might have thought you forgot about the brush pen. No, I didn't forget about the brush pen. Well, what you can do is you can start adding things like smoke behind the car. You can have rocks flying out. You can create a road. You can even have a speech bubble. Go! Or roar. Okay, you can do all sorts of fun things with this. So let's just say that that's not really quite your cup of tea. Now you get your white wipe and look at that, the infinite piece of paper. It's the gift that keeps on giving. This. Okay, you might say, well, I might like something a little bit more closer to home. Well, you can make something a little more closer to home. And if you want to have further fun, what you can do is you can get some scissors, some piece of paper, and you can start making some other little interesting things. Put this paper in front of that. And that, and you have a dinosaur. This is all part of the fun of composition making, okay? So you can make this as crazy as you want. You can have aliens landing. You can do ballet with this. You can do portraiture with it. You can do just about anything you can think of. The only thing that would limit you is your own imagination. So once you have your stuff, okay, you can start putting things like well, you can make that a proper looking window. You can put a clock on the wall. You can do whatever you want with this, okay? You can probably make this look a little bit more like a home. You can add a rug. You can do anything. This is just so much fun. But once you've done that, you can start putting your grid on top if you need a grid. And once you put your grid on top, and I'm not going to show you how to do that because I've already shown you, then you can take a picture with it. Once you've taken a picture, you can put it on your printer, download it, and you have a good composition with a grid on top. And all that's left for you to do is to draw this very interesting composition that came from your mind. So you can do just about anything with this composition. So let's just quickly wipe this. Wipe that off. When I discovered this, it was just such a big help because it took all the stress and worry of having to constantly rub it on good paper. And I was just so thrilled with this idea. I thought I have to share this with others because if you're like me and you're tight with money and you can't just, you know, go spending money all the time, it's kind of helpful to have something where you can literally fool around and it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. The only thing that can limit you with this is your imagination. I mean, you could have aliens landing, You can have, as you can see, a man in a boat with a dinosaur looking at him. I mean, you can use this for anything. I hope that this composition finder really helps you with your art. I hope you enjoy using it. If you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe and let me know how you went with your composition finder. I'd love to see what you come up with. But this is just something that's fun. It teaches you good composition, and you know, it really helped me, and I'm sure it'll help you. There are some things though that you need to know before you continue, which is the pros and cons, which is what we'll get to in the next video. All right, so we've basically touched everything on our composition finder. So now we're just going to quickly go over the pros and cons. The pros are as such that it will teach you good composition. That it will do without question. It will also help speed up productivity. When I was doing ballet drawings, I practically was having trouble with all the composition and all the ideas that I had. So basically, I went from anywhere between 1 to 5 ballet drawings, somewhere there, and this is over a period of months. After I did my composition finder, I went from 35 paintings, and I actually had to stop using my composition finder because I was getting overwhelmed with so much work I had to do. So composition finding is a really, really good way of speeding up productivity. The cons, on the other hand, is that it will take a long time for you to build up tracings and subject matter. So what happens there is that when you are building up, or how I dealt with it, I should say, how I dealt with the amount of time that I had to use to make tracings or build up subject matter for my composition finder was I simply decided that once a week I was going to do a tracing of 1 A4 paper. And I did that, and as I was doing that, the tracing paper would build up, and as soon as the A4 was full, I would cut it and of course put it in my folder and use it in a composition if I so desired. So that is one con, that it will take a long time to build up subject matter in order to get more paintings. The other con is that you're still going to have to learn the rules of art. And we touched on some of them where perspective and things in the distance are concerned, but it's not going to teach you color. It's not going to teach you brush stroke. It's not going to teach you mark making. It's only going to teach you good composition. So don't think that this is going to automatically make you a great artist, because it's not. It's just going to teach you how to make good composition. Nothing more and nothing less. But that's still a handy tool to learn, because if anything, composition is what sells your art. So that's something that you really need to learn. So I hope that when you do your composition finder that it does help you. If you had trouble with composition, it will help you. I know that for a fact. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed that. Okay, so now we're up to the quick tip section. In the quick tips, I just wanted to point out that when you are taking a photograph of your composition and you use the plastic sheet, be aware of where you have a lamp. If you have a lamp off onto the sides, probably better. But if you're using light from directly above, or if you have a lamp and you have the composition finder on your easel and it's tilted up a bit, it may create glare. So be aware of that. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, I wanted to say about the tracing is that when you trace on your tracing paper, obviously that's what tracing paper is for, keep it vague. Okay, it's not about the subject, it's actually about the placement of the subject. So you can be really sparse with the details, you're just learning where to place the subject as is. So there's your 2 tips for the day. Hope you enjoyed. Bye. Several days with a neck brace around my neck from drawing a ballerina. The story goes like this. I had a ballerina that I had to draw, and she had a male ballet dancer behind her, and back in the old days when I was drawing dancers, I would start from the feet up, and I started to draw the feet, got to say this without laughing, I was drawing the feet up, and I came from the legs and the stomach and the torso, and I came to her arms, and part of the man was exposed. He wasn't fully exposed, but the man turned out great. But when I came to about here, the neck, well, I was stuck. So what happened was, is I started to, rub it out and draw the neck again. And at one point she had no neck, and then she had a neck that was too long. Everything was just going horribly wrong. And I just thought, oh, well, what the heck? So I bumped into a friend of mine who is very good at art. And I said to him, what do you do when you're having trouble drawing a person in action and you can't seem to get the figure to look right? And he said it helps sometimes as an artist to animate yourself in front of the easel. So if someone's doing a running pose, you should try and not run, obviously, but try and, get that same sort of motion, and you might get the same effect. And once you know how it works in your body, you'll be able to draw it better. I thought, okay, fine. So I tried it, and I was so excited. I went to my easel and I seen this ballerina and her neck, and I'm going to do this slowly because I don't want this to happen again. But I went like this, and I thought, well, her neck is kind of on a lean and it's kind of back like this. And from here to here, from there to there, my neck made a noise. My neck actually went, oh, made a noise just like that. And before I knew it, my eyes went from this to this, and then they went up, and it was lights out all over the world. I fainted. I hit my bookshelf. Things were dropping all around me and crashing all around me. And my mum heard the noise. She was at the other end of the house and didn't bother to check on me. And I was out like a light. And my little joke when my eyes crossed over, as I say, that I had perfect peripheral vision. I could have described in great detail what was at one end of my room without turning my head. And that's a great skill to have as an artist, but not something you want as a permanent fixture. And so basically I said, okay, I can't do this. And I was out at, this is true, I was out at 9 p.m. And when I woke up and I was on the floor, still in my clothes, never made it to bed, I was out until 6 a.m. in the morning. I couldn't lift my head. I tried to get my head up and I couldn't lift my head up like such. I thought, oh no. So I crawled to the bathroom, and our family is a religious family. We're Christians. We believe in a God. And my mum came in. She seen me on the bathtub, and I had my head down like this. And my mum said to me, "Are you praying?" And I said, "Almost." And I said to Mum, "Mum, I need to go to the doctor. I can't lift my my head up." And my mum said, "Oh, Kimberly." So we went straight to the hospital. Told the doctor everything. I said, "Well, I was drawing a ballerina, and my my neck made this noise, and my eyes went like this, and then they went like this, and I was out, and all I could hear was from the doctor." And anyway, I thought, oh, very funny. But the doctor put his hands on my neck like this, and he said, "Okay, on the count of 3." And then he went 3, and he'd crack and hear all through the hospital. And then he put a neck brace on my neck, and he said, "Don't take it off for 7 days." And I said, "What?" And he said, "No, 7 days or nights." He said, "You are not to take this thing off." I said, "This is New South Wales. I live in the subtropics. It's going to be horribly sweaty with this thing around my neck." He said, "No, you are not to take that off at all." So for 7 days, I had a neck brace on from drawing a ballerina. So the moral of that story is that if ever you're drawing a ballerina and you're not one yourself, be careful, take it easy. But that story is true. In my next video, I'll be talking about tracing and the many uses of tracing paper and why I don't use it to trace. So I hope you'll enjoy that video. If you liked it, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.